Hey, welcome. We're going to get into something that, well, drives us all crazy. Misunderstanding. You know that feeling, right? When you feel like you're speaking a totally different language than the person right in front of you. Well, today, we're going to explore that invisible gap that can just completely derail a conversation and, more importantly, figure out how we can start building a bridge across it.
I mean, we've all been there. You type out a text or an email, you read it over, and you think, yep, that's crystal clear. And then the response you get back just makes you go, wait, what? Did they even read what I wrote? That disconnect, that feeling of being totally misread, is something every single one of us has gone through. So let's actually dig into why it happens so often.
So, the source material we're digging into today calls this the communication gap, and I think that's the perfect way to put it. Just picture this invisible space between two people where the meaning of what you're saying can get lost or twisted or sometimes just vanish completely.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the issue. It sounds so simple, but it is the #1 challenge in all of this. What you send out into the world and what somebody else actually takes in can be two wildly different things. Now, this isn't about blaming anyone, it's just about recognizing that there's a natural barrier here that we have to actively, consciously work to get over.
Okay, so let's break that gap down a little more. You can really think of it as a clash between two things, your intention and their reception. So on one side of the gap, you've got your intention. It's that perfectly clear thought in your head, exactly what you meant to say. But by the time it travels across that invisible bridge to the other person, it becomes their reception, what they actually heard, filtered through their own mood, their own experiences, their own day. All that static in between? Well, that's exactly where misunderstandings are born.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we know there's this gap between what we mean and what somebody hears, what's the invisible force that's creating all that static? Well, the source material points to one single, really powerful culprit.
And here it is, the main culprit is something called perception. You can think of it as the invisible filter that every single word we say or hear has to pass through. It shapes absolutely everything, and just understanding its power is the first real step to becoming a better communicator.
So what is perception? It's the unique way each of us sees, understands, and interprets the world and, yeah, the messages we get from other people. Seriously, think of it like this. Everybody is walking around wearing a pair of custom-made glasses. No two pairs are exactly the same. And this personal filter is the #1 reason that your crystal clear intention can get distorted into a completely different reception on their end.
Now look, while perception is a huge deal, it's the main filter, it's not the only thing going on. You know, things like timing, your emotional state, even body language, it all plays a part. Really mastering communication means you have to navigate this whole ecosystem. But our source points to one tool that's more powerful than anything else for just cutting right through all that noise.
Okay, so we've got the problem, right? This gap, created by our different perceptions. But here's the good news. This is not a lost cause, not by a long shot. We can absolutely learn to build stronger, better bridges to get across that gap. We just need to use the right tools for the job.
And this right here, this is the game changer, feedback. And I'm not talking about your annual performance review at work. Feedback is the single best tool we have to close that distance between your intention and their reception. It's how you check to make sure the bridge you're trying to build is actually going to land on the other side.
This quote from our source material is so important. Notice how it puts the responsibility on the communicator. That's you, that's me, to seek feedback. Communication isn't just about throwing a message out there and hoping for the best. It's a two-way street. We have to actively go and check if our message landed the way we wanted it to.
So this really all boils down to a pretty simple 3-step game plan. First up, just acknowledge perception. Always remember the person you're talking to has their own unique filter. Second, seek feedback. Make it a habit. Actively check in with them. Say something like, hey, just so I'm sure we're on the same page, what are you hearing? And third, use effective methods. Stay curious and keep learning new ways to make those connections stronger.
And maybe this is the most empowering part of all of this. Being a great communicator isn't some magic talent you're either born with or you're not. It's a skill. And just like any other skill, you can practice it, you can work on it, and you can absolutely get better at it over time.
So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. Think about your week ahead. What's one important conversation you know you need to have? Maybe with a coworker, a friend, a family member. Can you go into that conversation and consciously practice this? Can you just pause for a second and ask, to make sure we're connecting here, can you tell me what you're taking away from this? Give it a try. You might be amazed at the bridge you end up building. Thanks for tuning in.